a variety of attacks are available, and there must be a mechanism to analyze how this attack is happening. And of course, it will take a little bit of time for you to understand each and every attack, but there must be a way to trace if there is any attacks are happening or not. So now I'm just going to be giving you a little bit of information about a couple of other types of attacks. Once we understand that, and then we can move on to how these attacks are going to be traced or hunted within your security operations center. So what are all the informations that you will be looking for it? What kind of information that you can looking for it? So this is what the target for today's understanding. Now, so the attacks what we are trying to discuss today is known as what? XSS, SQL injection, and directory traversal. Okay, so one by one, we will understand certain things. So what is this XSS? Often XSS known as cross-site scripting. So I'm not going to be explaining you the complete process of how this cross-site scripting is going to be happening. But still, we need to have a little bit basic level of understanding on how this attack is happening. And then we can see that how the attack is going to be launched within an infrastructure. As the attack is going on, some sensors have been placed inside. Those sensors are going to be collecting the information about the threat. Then it will be sending it to our security onion. In the security onion, using the tools like the SQL and ELSA, network miner, Wireshark, we will identify some attack is going on. And then based on the information, we will classify that this attack has happened, so that you will be able to inform the level 2 team or level 3 team or the respective team who is responsible for the fighting against this kind of attacks. So you have reporting to them. So basically, cybersecurity analyst at the tier 1 level, you collect the information and you will be sharing it with the respective team for further actions. So cross-site scripting, basically it's nothing but one of the more popular web application attack types. So one of the popular web application attack. So what is a web application? So traditionally, if you see that, we used to have the websites, right? Now we have moved into a web application. Let me say that from your perspective, what is Facebook? Is it a website or something else? Anybody? A Facebook is a website or something else?
Something else.
It's not a website.
Okay. I hear two different sets of information. One said website, the other one, what was that?
I said it's not a website.
It is not a website. Oh, okay. So what else it is then?
It's something else.
Okay. All right. Fine. See, we used to have something called as an applications. What is an application? It has the ability of processing some data, and then the processed result is going to be given to the end user. As a user, what I do, I connect to the application. I'm asking the application to carry out some activity. The results are going to be shown to me. For example, if I have a banking application, what I do, I can log into my account. I can do the transactions. If I would like to transfer some money from my account to someone else's account, I can log into my bank account, and then I can do the fund transfer, right? So the result is going to be reflected in my data. Okay. Now, if this application needs to be accessed, traditionally, you need to have a client software. Using the client software, you can get connected to the bank application, and then you can do it. Something like your mobile phone. If you have a mobile phone and you would like to access your bank account, you have to download the banking application from the bank where you have the account. For example, I have an account with a bank called as Axis Bank. Now, I have downloaded the application into my mobile phone so that using that banking application, I can access my account, and then I can do whatever the activities that I would like to carry out. Similarly, if I have a ticket booking application, right? There is an application. If I have a ticket booking application, maybe a flight ticket, maybe a train ticket, maybe a bus ticket, or maybe a movie ticket, could be anything. Now, if I have a ticket booking application, then I need to have a client software using which I can connect to the ticket booking application, and then I can book the ticket whatever I want according to the availability and all. Now, over a period of time, what happened like this, hundreds and thousands of applications got introduced. So because of that, what happened, you have to have multiple client software to be installed on your machine. This is not the right way of doing it. So for every application, if you are relying on a separate application, a client application, then your client device is going to be filled with lots and lots of client applications. So what they have done, these applications have been webified. So because the application have been webified, you no need to have a dedicated client software. Just the browser is enough. If you would like to do your banking activity, you can take the help of a browser. If you would like to book the ticket, again, the same application could be accessible via the web browser. So an application, once it has been webified, all the client need is a browser. Doesn't matter which application he is accessing. If it is webified, he just need a web browser and the internet connection, and then he can connect and then he can access it, right? So Facebook is a web application. It is not a website. It's a web application. So using the web, if you have a web application, you don't need to have a dedicated client software. All you need is a client device with a browser. Using the browser, you can connect to that application and you can do whatever the activities that you want. So against these kind of web application, you have variety of popular attack. One of the attack is what? Cross-site scripting. So I'm not going to be taking this kind of explanation for the rest of the things also. Just the basic idea is what I'm trying to give it over here. Right. All right. You're getting my point? So in this case, I'm hearing some sound, but I'm not hearing it properly. If there is any question, please.
For a very long time. But to answer your question,
I don't know. I don't know. Some sound is there, but I couldn't hear it properly. Is that the problem is for me or for all? I hear some sound. Am I audible to all?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
But I cannot
I
hear
think
you.
someone unmute their system, but it's fine now.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, all right. No, so this web application, there are so many types of attacks are available, but one of the popular attack is what? Cross-site scripting. Now, how this is going to be happening? When you access a web application using a client browser, what basically happens is the browser trusts the web application and it processes everything, receives from the server, correct? So when you are accessing an application, a web application using the browser, you are trusting the server. Whatever the server sends, your browser is going to be processing it, right? So what an attacker could do, he can inject some malicious code. How that is going to be happening, don't worry about it. See, even Facebook could be compromised. Assume that I'm an attacker. I'm just compromising the Facebook, and then I'm making the Facebook server to send some code to the clients they are connecting. That's also possible, right? So if you are receiving those code from the Facebook server after you log in, the browser is going to be trusting the code, and then it is going to be executed, right? So that is the idea. So what I'm trying to do is some scripts are being injected from the server to the client machine. The machine trusts the code and the code is going to be executed. You may be wondering what's the problem in it. The server can send code. Normally that is how it is going to be happening. The problem with this code is what? even though you have a secured infrastructure, you have a firewall, you have IDS, you have a variety of security technologies that have been implemented within your organization, but still the genuinity of the code cannot be identified or cannot be, let's say that this is genuine, this is malicious. You cannot give the concrete statement until unless the code has compiled and given the result. So the code is simply the code. If it is not going to be compiled, the result of the code cannot be judged by the any of the security technologies that you have. That is why most of the organizations, they used to block variety of scripts, even your ActiveX, JavaScript, or even Flash scripts. They used to block all of these scripts. Why? If it is going to be a script, it gets downloaded into the client machine as a script, not a compiled program. When the data is being processed, only then the script is going to be executed on the client machine. What I mean to say, see, if you have some malicious data, let's say that one. This is my server, okay? And this is my client. Right? And server. Now you have all the security mechanisms that got deployed. Assume that you are sending an attack. That attack could be identify the security mechanisms, whatever you have in your infrastructure, even before that could hit the client software, the client machine, right? That's a traditional thing. But when it comes to the script, what happens? The server is sending the client code, whatever the security mechanisms that you have, they are going to be seeing the script only as the text. So when it comes to the text, it doesn't matter. The script is being simply forwarded, assuming that it is genuine. Now, the script got injected into your client machine on the browser. Now, the script is going to be executed inside the client machine or the endpoint, right? Now, the result could be harming the endpoint as well. Right? It could be eating up the resource, it could be deleting something, or it could be fetching the details, it could give the session ID of the client that has established with the server. They can do many things, right? Now that script gets executed on the client browser. Even if you have the security mechanisms in place, they may not be able to in the position to identify the genuinity of the script which is being pushed from the server to the client. Now, how do you fight against it? Even though you have invested a lot of money to protect your infrastructure, it is just the text. Just by reading the text, nobody could understand, or nobody could say that this is going to be causing some damage to my endpoint. So simply that is going to be permitted. So that is the reason most of the organization, if there is a script that is going to be blocked at the security, at the firewall level, or on the IDS IPS level, they will be blocking it. Right? So that is the idea behind what is it called? The cross-site scripting, how this is going to be launched. So what the cross-site scripting can do, they can hijack the user session. What is that hijack the user session? Now we know that there is something called as a session. This session could be hijacked. We know the meaning of a session. We also know the meaning of hijacking. What is a session? Now, if I open up a connection, let's say that I have connected to my LinkedIn, okay? So this LinkedIn, it is considered as a session. Now, if somebody else would like to access my LinkedIn account, what do they have to do? They need to know my username. They also need to know my password. Only then they'll be able to log in and they can carry out the activities, right? Assume that if this application is vulnerable to the cross-site scripting, what I can do is I can collect the session ID, or somebody could collect my session ID, and using that session ID, without entering the username and password, they could establish the connection with the web application and they can access my details without providing the usernames and passwords. Okay, this is one way. The other thing I'll tell you, one of the simplest method is what? Assume that you are an administrator you are managing a firewall, you're taking telnet access or HTTP access towards your firewall. Okay, you have taken the access of your firewall. Now, once you have entered your username and password, you will be able to manage anything on your firewall or anything on your router or the switch, whatever the device. What attacker will do is, he may try to fight for the usernames and password, but the other simplest way is what? The attacker will be waiting for an administrator to gain access to the device by the administrator. Once the administrator have entered his username and password while he is accessing, he can simply hijack that session. Now, when he is hijacking the session, he is not entering any of the usernames and password, right? He just took over the connection that you have established on your endpoint on his machine. This is called session hijacking, right? So session hijacking could be achieved through the help of what? The cross-site scripting. And he can also steal the cookies. Now, what is a cookie? The cookie is nothing but the information about the user preferences which got stored inside your client browser, right? So when you are accessing the application or the website for the first time, you may set up the preferences. Those preferences are going to be stored within your client machine in the form of a cookie, and that cookie will be used by the server while rendering the data on your browser. And there are so many things that could be available in the cookies as well. So the attacker could also read some sensitive information on the client machine. They can inject a malware. They can deface the website. They can also redirect the user to a malicious website, or they could also launch a phishing attack using your cross-site scripting. There are so many things that could be possible. What's it called? In cross-site scripting. Again, they have stored cross-site scripting. They have reflected cross-site scripting. So we have a DOM-based cross-site scripting. Like this, there are so many types of cross-site scriptings are available. So one of the best method or one of the way that cross-site scripting is going to be, avoided, or the security measures that you have to do on the web application side is validating and sanitizing the user-generated content. Make sure that the escape characters that have specific meaning in HTML, if the characters are not having any specific meaning, then those characters needs to be taken out. But anyway, these are all the security aspects of it. Now, what is that we are going to be doing is, we are going to be launching a cross-site scripting, and then using the security onion, we are planning to gain access towards it. Okay, that is the first step. The second thing what we are planning to do is the SQL injection. So what is the SQL injection? See, if you take a web application or a dynamic website, you will have the front-end portal. Okay, you'll be having the front end, which may be connecting to the application. And then in turn, you will be having the database. Now, how the communication is going to happen as you give your username and password on the front-end application, it is going to be validating your username and password against the centralized authentication server. If the username and password is valid, it is going to be fetching the data from the database, and then it is going to be presented to you on your client-facing interface. This is the typical part of it. Now, if you take any of these web applications or any of the websites, you will be having a form, or you will be having a user input area, maybe your username, maybe your password, or something like that. Now, those areas can be, those input sections can be used by the attacker to pass some SQL queries. Oh, what is that SQL query? SQL query is nothing but structured query language, which is being widely used by majority of the databases that you have. Now, see what is happening. I'll tell you once again. Here. Now, as a user, when you log into the application, right, you can make some changes. Those changes are going to be stored in the database. or you're going to be looking for some specific information and you're choosing that option, and application will construct a SQL query or a SQL query, and using that query, the database is going to be searched, the information could be fetched and then shown to you. So the communication between this application and the database is going to happen through the help of structured query language, right? So what an attacker could do is, if you have a page where the user input is available, and that input, you can directly enter the query. That query will be forwarded to the database. Now the database could process it, right? Even before the attacker could log in and do certain things, the page on which the username and password, or you have some sort of form, that could be used to pass on the SQL query, and then the database could be impacted because of the query. So you can add some data, you can fetch, you can modify the data, you can remove the data from the database by passing the SQL query, even without logging into the application. That's quite possible, right? Okay, that is the SQL injection. And the third type of attack, what we are talking about, is the directory traversal. So basically, what is this directory traversal? I will show you now. This is, see, I've just clicked on the, what's it called, my Finder. Then I'm getting into my documents. Then I'm getting into my, what is it called, GoP documents. And then I can get into my IT returns. Like this, I'm just doing that, right? This is called traversal, the directory traversal. See, within my storage device, I'm just traveling from one directory to the other directory. This could be possible if the vulnerability exists on the web server, and the whole web server can also be accessed using your browser. That's possible. I'll show you. Probably if I have my shortcut, I can show you one thing. Let me check my bookmarks. Where is my bookmarks? Okay, bookmarks. Can you see this index of Cisco OS? Right. Now, this is going to be, looks like a directory access on the web server. So, Cypress, you see. Um, mm, mm, mm. The plugin, I need to install it. Mm. Oh, let me check this one. Not this one. Again, the site got blocked actually. Long back, I added these bookmarks. So I should have done. What would be the right choice? But it is not loading. Now it's loading. The website itself is down. That's the problem. If not, it would have loaded already. See, as like I'm accessing my local directories, the directories which is available on the servers could also be accessible if the directory traversal vulnerability exists. What is the benefit of it? An attacker could download any of the directory, any of the files to his local machine as part of information gathering phase. He can collect any of this, he can download any of this file. Assume that some sensitive information is available that is stored in the file. That file could be downloaded by an attacker, and then he can open the file, he can read the content, information leakage, right? So these are the problems with the three set of attacks that I have explained you now. Now let's see how this is going to be tested. Now, in our infrastructure, there is a setup, all right? So that we have a lab setup in which we are going to be making use of the security onion to identify the malicious activity within our infrastructure. So we have so many sensors that are placed throughout our lab infrastructure that provide the alerts to the security onion. So as part of analysis on the security onion, we can take the help of a couple of tools like SQL, Bro, Wireshark, Network Miner, ELSA. There are so many tools out there, which is part of the security onion package. You can do the analysis. If it is necessary, you can escalate this malicious activity to the next level of analyst. It is purely dependent whether the escalation is required or not. It purely depends on the SOC definition, like how you have written something called as a playbook of the SOC, right? We'll talk about the SOC playbook, don't worry. Now here, we are just going to be doing the analysis. Now, I'm just going to be logging into my security onion console. Give me a minute. Let me check whether it is turned on or not. Yes, it is turned on. My security onion is ready. My security. So I have my security onion ready. So hope this desktop is already familiar to you. I'll explain you the setup first before I do anything over here. Okay. Now, the setup has three different machines. I'm going to be having I'm going to be having my attack platform, which is 172.16.1.10. This is where the attacker who is going to be working with the attacks. And then we have a victim. Victim is a Windows machine, sorry, Metasploitable virtual machine, which is running on 10.10.4.35. This is the IP address of my Metasploitable. And then I have the SIEM platform, which is nothing but my security incident and event management. And this is nothing but my security onion. And this is running on 10.10.3.44. So I have my attack machine. I have my victim machine. I also have the security onion, where the complete set of information that could be collected and analyzed by me. Now, attack platform is a Windows machine, and then I also have a Metasploitable. Metasploitable is a virtual machine developed for the purpose of purposefully vulnerable applications are hosted into it so that an attacker or whomever wants to become a penetration tester, they can do all their testing, understanding how an attack is going to be launched. They can also launch the attack as well. So Metasploitable is a virtual machine. We are having it, and as and when required, we can specifically turn on a vulnerability, and then we can launch an attack. Now, we have our security onion. So this security onion is there. So we know the environment. We have the SQL. We have ELSA. We have a couple of things are also available over there. Now, what is that I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be starting up my SQL. When I start the SQL, it will be asking for my username and password. I remember my username and password. SO is the username. Just go 1, 2, 3, exclamatory is the password. When I log in, it will be asking for which are all the interfaces to be monitored. I'm just simply saying that select all. Then start SQL. Okay. Now this SQL is running now. Let me minimize this one. I'm going to be starting my ELSA as well. So ELSA is nothing but this ELSA is my ELSA. ELSA is nothing but Enterprise Log Search and Archive. That is the meaning of ELSA. That's the expansion for ELSA. Again, the username is going to be the same, which is SO, and password is 1, 2, 3, exclamation. Right. So it will take a little bit of time to complete the process of starting up. No, we just started it. That's all. Let it be running in background. The meanwhile, let's launch a couple of attacks. Let's launch the attack, either the SQL injection or process scripting or the directory traversal, and we will analyze how this is being reported to your SQL and how you can further investigate with respect to the attack which is happening, right? Let's see that one. Now, what I'm trying to do is I'm going to be logging into my attack platform. Give me a minute. Let me open up my attack platform, which is, this is running in the background. Okay, my security onion is running in the background. Let it be there. Now my DMZ server is here. This is where my attack platform. I will show you the IP address of it so that you will be knowing about what we were talking about. See, I'm just going to log into my mission terminal. Then I will show you. Oh, hope it is visible for you. Now let me say ifconfig to see the IP address of my machine. Now you can see that 172.16.1.10. This is the IP address configured for this machine. And look into our setup, you know already, the IP address of my attack platform is what? 172.16.1.10. So this is the machine on which I have connected. Now, what I'm planning to do here is I would like to run something called as what? My MSF, what is it called? The Metasploitable is what I'm trying to running. Now, how do I do that one? MSF. Okay, it will take a couple of minutes to complete the starting process. Then it will also ask for the password. a huge web application. It will take little bit of time to initialize. Um, when the application is ready, then now we have logged into it, right? So all we have to do is what? We are ready now. Okay, let me set up the date and time so that it will be easy. Let's go equal to UTC. I'm just setting up the time zone. Okay, now let me open up another console so that it will be easy for me. Okay, I just did. I tried changing the time zone, but it is okay. Now, okay, now let us try to get connected to my security onion console, and then we will see. Then we will see the date and time associated to my. This is basically if you would like to do the filtering for on the. My server is busy, I believe. That's why I'm not able to. There's no responses over there. Let me close it and then open it again. That's the problem. That's the problem. Give me a minute. I'm just starting up the lab again. Here it is. Once again, I'm just starting this wheel. It's running. It's running. Okay, I don't need to worry about it. You can see that my SQL is also running. My ELSA is also running. So I'm just minimizing both of them. And then just cross-checking whether the date and time is configured as per the UTC or not.
Gopi, why is the date and time important?
Because when you report, an incident is being reported, right? So you need to report by what time and date the incident has been identified so that the tier 2 team, when they do further investigation, they will collect and the information based on the date and time on which the incident has been reported. Assume that you are reporting an incident in your organization, right? How the data which is related to the incident can be collected and analyzed? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah.
So the date and time is more important when it comes to the log, any other thing. So when you are configuring the set of devices to export the logs to the centralized logging server, all of these devices must be synchronized to a centralized server called as NTP server, Network Time Protocol Server. So you don't need to worry about manually configuring the date and time or the time zone on the local machines, right? See, now you could also see that the date and time here is 19th March 1249. Can you see that? Means 0049. But my time here it is 6:20. Now I'm connected to the cloud server. The cloud server is synchronized to the time source. So whatever my clock server says, that is the date and time that is going to be synchronized on these machines. If I modify the time zone on my clock server or modify the time zone on my machines or my devices, the time is going to be changed automatically. So when the logs are being reported back to the log server, the date and timestamp will be there for each and every entry that is being forwarded. So as a security analyst, when we search for some information, mostly we will set the date and time filter first. So this incident happened on 19th March 2024, 6:20 a.m. So any data relevant to that particular time, date and time, that will be filtered, and then you can start doing the analysis. That is why date and time is more important, right? You getting my point?
I got you, sir. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Now, I think this is also, I believe it's lost. Now, once again, I'm connecting to my attack platform. This attack platform is nothing but my metasploitable. Now we can see the date and time over there as well. You can see that March 19th, 005119 GMT 2024. Here you can see that 3 minutes back I gave this command. So March 19th, 0048. Now once again, if you give the command, you can see that exactly the same date and time is matching. So this is because the NTP server who is taking care of all these activities. That's why. All right. Now the date and time has been confirmed. Now what is that I'm going to be doing is I'm trying to launch something called as what the SQL injection or the SQL injection. Okay. Now let me start my MSF.
Are you guys there?
What happened? Am I audible?
Oh,
Yes,
only
you
you
are
have me
audible.
listen.
Yeah,
Okay.
you close the window.
All right. No, it's okay. Now I'm on this server, metasploitable server. I'm going to be opening up this browser window, IceWeasel. Then I'm going to be connecting to http :10.10.4.35. Then utility PILLIDAE. This is the web application which is capable of hosting some vulnerabilities, and these vulnerabilities could be exploited by an attacker. Can you see this one? Deliberately vulnerable PHP scripts of OWASP top 10. This is what I have. Now, what I'm trying to do here is, this is OWASP top 10. I'm going to be launching A1 SQL injection, and then SQL data, and then user information. This is what I chosen. That means I'm making sure that this vulnerability exists on the application so that when a user is connecting to this application, they could be infected with the SQL injection. Okay, now I have chosen it. Now what I'm trying to do is, on the name field, I'm right clicking, and then can you see something called as inspect element? I'm choosing that inspect element. Then what I'm planning to do here is I'm just going to be changing. Don't worry about what the fact that I'm doing here, right? So I'm just going to be changing the input type. Can you see the size from 20 characters to from 20, I'm just changing it to 100. Basically, what is this? It can allow 100 characters text on this particular field. So they have done the validation. What is that called? They configured this name field just to have only 20 characters. The way that I have modified this field can accept nearly 100 characters on this field. Why would you need 100 characters in a text field where the user is going to be entering his name? That's why they would have done the restriction of only 20 characters, but I'm modifying the field to accept 100 characters. Why would I do that one? Because I would like to pass a SQL injection query that could be a length of 100 characters also. That's why I did this one, right? Now, what I would like to do here is, now I would like to, what is it called? Pass a SQL query on this name field. I would like to pass the SQL query on this name field, which could fetch the information from the database or modify the data on the database or remove the data from the database. It could do that one. Now, the queries you must be familiar. Probably if you're going to be a penetration tester or a real-time attacker, then obviously you have to be familiar with all these things. So as part of the security analyst team or cybersecurity team, do I have to be familiar with this attack? You must be familiar with the attack, but you don't need to worry about the SQL queries and all, because this is what an attacker will do. When an attacker is launching an attack, the sensors which you have within your infrastructure is capable of collecting the information related to that threat, then it is reported. So we must know what kind of threat what kind of attack has been launched against your infrastructure. So if I'm passing on the query, don't worry about it. Now, can you see that the length of my input field has been changed? Now let me pass on something called a union, select, CCID, CC number, CCB, expiration, null from credit underscore cards. See, I have done a little bit of investigation. Based on that, I know there is a table within the database called as credit cards. There are a couple of fields called as CCID, then credit card number, then the expiration date and CCD number. All of them are stored in the database, right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm just passing on this query directly in the name field. And then I'm saying what? Okay, of course, I need to make sure that this double dash is placed. If not, it will not be taken. Anyway, now if I say view account details, what will happen? Basically, the username and password. After that, if you press this account details, it is going to be giving you your inbox, or it is going to be showing you the data that you are responsible for. But here, when I pass this query, I did not pass the password also, because this web application has that vulnerability called a SQL injection. It is taking the SQL query and it is going to be communicating back with your database server. When the database server is accepting this query, it processes the query. The results of the process is going to be presented in your front page itself. Let's see what is happening. One second.
You need to save it first.
Not required. Maybe if the table name is wrong or the field name is wrong, then obviously it is not going to be giving me the details at all. Okay, okay. Probably I would have given some other information. Let's say I'm just modifying the query. The single quote, union, select, CCID, CC number, CCV, expiration, null, from, credit, underscore, cards, then space, hyphen. This is what I'm doing it. I'm just cross-checking whether this is correct or not. Now, earlier I didn't give this single quote. Now I'm just adding the single quotes. Let's see. Can you see that? Earlier it was throwing an error. Now I'm getting the information. But the query is wrong. But still it is getting the information or not. We try to pass this query again. You want. So as long as the query is correct and the system is vulnerable for SQL injection, it can accept the query. Change.
You didn't close the quote, the single quote, right?
Not required.
Okay.
See, the query is different ways you can pass it. I'm just trying with one of the method only. So union, select, CCID, comma, CC number, credit card number, CCV, expiration, underscore null, from credit, underscore cards. Now let's see this one, or else I can copy this one so that if I need to do some changes. Oh, the query is wrong, but there is, can you see that the informations are coming in? Can you see that one? Error executing the query, that means the query has been passed on to the database server. The database server has received it and it is trying to process the query. When the process is happening, it identified that there is a problem. Let me try to change once again. Now can you see that one? Can you see that it got fixed? The username is so and so, password is 745, the signature is 2012. Now the query has been successfully accepted by my database server and it has processed the query. The result of the query has been shared with me. Can you see that? There are multiple usernames, passwords, signatures, all of these informations have been shared. Whatever was there within my database server, and there was a table called as credit cards, and this query has processed the data within the credit cards table, and that information has been shared with me. Can you see that? See, this username field has been used by an attacker to access the database server and fetch the information from the database server without giving the username and password also. Got it? This is an example of your SQL attacks. Now, since I have my sensor placed within my lab infrastructure, that could have
Okay,
collected the
sorry.
data. Sorry,
I have a question.
please go ahead.
So, the query you wrote, I
Hmm.
thought you were trying to select specific field from a table. When the query was executed, what came
Uh-huh.
out is quite different from what you asked for. Is that deliberate or what? Did you get my question?
No, I'm not getting it.
I'm
Okay.
referring to the query you wrote.
Okay. Okay.
Select, CCV, expiration
Yes.
date, and all
Correct.
of that. You are trying
Okay.
to pull out that data from
Uh-huh.
a table, right?
Okay. Uh-huh.
But the result, what you have here now, is username, password, signature, which is quite different from the fields you requested for in your query.
Correct. But the thing is what? This username is nothing but the credit card number.
Oh.
This password is my CVV. The CVV, which is associated to this
Mm.
credit card. And this is the expiry date of that credit card.
Oh.
Now I got a couple of credit cards which I can use it. But normally, see, the data what you have is the old data. Can you see that? The expiration date of this credit card is 2018. This is 2017. Now we are in 2024. So fake detail is what filled in.
Mm.
Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
All right. See, all these credit card numbers, whatever you're seeing, they are invalid. The data associated to that credit card is also invalid. Those are all fake. Okay. Now, an attack has been launched. Now, let's see how we can analyze this attack. This is my security onion. Okay. Now, if I go to my security onion, you could see that one. The information could have been collected. So, now I open up my SQL. You could see a lot of things. Let's see. Possible. See, professional SQL injection. Can you see that possible SQL injection attempt? Can you see that? So the sensor what I have placed within my lab infrastructure has collected this information and it has reported this to my SQL. SQL has processed that information and also it has identified that some SQL injection attack has been launched against it. Okay, now if you would like to search for some more information, right click on it on the ID, okay, ID part, and then I can do something called as bro, and this is going to be giving you the details of it. Which sensor has detected it? Okay, this sensor, Ethernet 1/1 sensor is what detected it. Now let me go ahead and see the last one. The source IP is so and so. Let me go for the recent one. See, it is giving the information. Can you see that? My net connection, I believe, on the server side, it is slow. That's why it is showing so many. It's processing it. Once it is processed, you'll be able to see the details. Now, can you see that? See, this is what the query that we have passed. The SQL get query has been passed. And then you can see that it has been successfully accepted by the destination by passing on 200 OK. You can confirm that the process has accepted the query. Where is the query? Where is the query? Where is the query? Where is the query? This is the query. Can you see that? Under the username field, we have exchanged the query directly. Union, select, CCID, CC. This is what we have shared it. So you can confirm that this is what is happening over. The query has been passed by the attacker. The query itself got captured and it is being shown to you, right? And then I can also go for right click on this and then on the ID part. And then I can choose my Wireshark to capture the thing. Now it is coming up. The Wireshark has come up. Now, what I have to do is just right click and then say that follow the TCP stream, the same set of information, the packets, whatever you have captured, and those packet captures have been analyzed, the same set of information you are seeing here. Either you can use Bro or you can use the Wireshark to collect the information and confirm that the query has been passed under the username field, which is a SQL injection attack. Right? You're getting my point? So launching a SQL injection attack, you don't need to worry about it. Don't worry about that part at all. That is happening in your infrastructure. Somebody is launching an SQL injection attack against your server, and you have the sensors within your organization. They are collecting the data and forwarding it to your security onion as well. So as part of the security analyst team, the cybersecurity team, you are analyzing this log, and then you conclude that some sort of, what is it called, SQL injection attack has been launched, and you are reporting this one to your tier 2 engineers or the SOC analysts. You have a different teams also as per your organization. You're just reporting this to them. They will take it further. Right? Like this, you can launch a cross-site scripting. You can do the directory traversal. And then you can also analyze those information. And then finally, the details collected can be shared with the respective team. They can take necessary actions against it. Got the point? Is that clear? Any clarifications are there? You can ask me.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So when you carry out this analysis or you see any suspicious attack, how do you report it to the next level? Because now you've told us how
okay.
to.
Okay, so that's one of the good questions, Bola. See, normally within the organization, they will be having a process. Typically, it is going to be a ticketing system, right? So when you have a ticketing system, you can make sure that this data is added into the ticket and you are escalating this to the second level. Okay, let me give you an example of that. Assume that I am facing a problem. Okay. Now, how do I communicate with the security team? So there will be, where is my browser? I lost my browser. Here. Okay. See, there is a popular ticketing system. So depending on your organization, they may be using different ticketing systems altogether. Let's say that this is what the ticketing system is using it. So as a user of the company or the organization, I will be having access to it. I'll go there. I will log in with my username and password, and then I'll open or create a new ticket. When I create a new ticket, then it's a kind of a form. You have to fill in all the set of information, right? So what is the incident, when this happened. If you have any evidence, you can post it over there, or you just need to elaborate the issue. Once you say submit or create, what will happen? This ticket will go to the NOC team or the SOC team, right? The SOC team, any one of the team members, as per the allocation algorithm, the ticket allocation algorithm, the ticket is going to be assigned to one of the person. That person is Bola. Okay, let's assume like that. Now, Bola has gone through the ticket. Now she know that Gopi is having a problem. The incident got reported on date and time of so and so. Now, what do? You will try to collect the data related to Gopi on the given date and time from your logs or events anywhere. And those logs are going to be filtered based on the date and time field as well as the username field. Now you have a set of information. You are going through one by one and analyzing it and identifying some problem has been there. Some problem is there. Either if you have the rights as per the role within the organization, you may fix that issue. Or if you believe that this is a security related incident, you don't have permission to that specific level, then what you do, you can assign the ticket to the next team. You're getting my point?
Mhm.
Or you can also add the user from the tier 2 team as part of the support team. Or the ticketing system will be having the solution as an option to escalate the ticket. When I escalate, it will be asking which team is to which team it has to be escalated. You can simply specify the team and then say escalate. One of the team member is going to be allocated with this escalation. They will do the further analysis on it. This is one way of doing it. The second way, simplest way, you know to whom you have to contact, which team you have to contact, write the email to them. But the first one is very popular. Is an organized way of managing incident. Now, in the first scenario, what I said, as an end user, I'm reporting the issue, right? Now, the second scenario is what? As a security team, as a cybersecurity analyst team, you are doing the log analysis, you identified the problem, now you yourself can create a ticket and assign it to the respective team. You could do that one. You getting my point?
Yes, I do, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So it depends the process, Bola. Depends on what process they are following it, what ticketing system they have it, what is the workflow of the organization. It purely depends on the organization. People who follow, we are going to be talking about some compliances like SOX, Oxley. We will talk about some theoretical discussions are there. So when we are following some specific model, that model is going to be giving you the idea how to implement these escalations within the organization. Probably you would have heard about ITIL, right? Have you heard about ITIL?
Yes, sir.
This one?
Yes.
So ITIL itself is a process. They would have deployed this, what is it called, the support desk within your organization. They would have come up with a set of processes or the workflow as per the ITIL standard or ITIL processes. So if your company is following this one, they deploy the ITIL processes, then obviously the workflow is going to be different. It purely depends on the organization. What do they do? Okay. Any other questions? There are questions, please ask me. Okay.